Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again. I am here to review Beavis and Butthead Reboot Season 2, Episode 5. The first story is called Tobacco Farmers. The second story is called Married. So the first story I thought was pretty good overall. Like, this was a solid episode. This whole thing, it really felt like a bounce back from last week. So tobacco farmers, basically, the kids think that, Beavis and Butthead, they are kids though. They think that I've never called them kids before. I've never said, like, those kids, Beavis and Butthead, so I don't know. What does that say about me? I don't know. They think that they can grow cigarette trees and then sell cigarettes by, getting cigarette seeds. They think that they're really learning something from their teacher, Mr. Lesbian Seagull. And surprise, surprise, they just completely do not get it at all. And they get all these cigarettes that have already been smoked, and they think that they're tobacco seeds and that they're going to plant them. And then Beavis starts eating them. Like, he starts pretending like, oh yeah, they're seeds, and you can eat sunflower seeds and all that, so you can eat these too. And I thought that that was so gross. And see, this whole story to me was like, what if you did that sewer story from last week, but more like involved and more kind of like their stuff that happens, I guess. Like, this is what I meant by last week, where they had that great concept and they didn't really do a whole lot with it. Or at least they didn't do the best stuff with the concept of them going into a sewer and thinking it's hell. In this story, I definitely think they did the best stuff that they could do with their concept. So they go to the community garden, which, I don't know, like, I've never heard of that before. Like, a community garden, like, is that just people who anyone can go there and plant anything? Because it seemed like they had this, like, a little group of people, and so I was wondering, like, because to me it sounds like maybe that's something that an apartment place would have. So I thought that, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying I kind of wondered about that because I've never heard of that before, a community garden. And Beavis and Butthead go there, and I think that's probably, like, the only smart thing they do, because, like, if it is supposedly a garden where you can plant whatever you want, if there's space or room, then I guess it's fine. I mean, they kind of use their thinking skills with that, at least. So they go there and they just start ripping the place to shreds, and they're destroying, like, all the fruit and vegetables and flowers, and then they just dump their trash can full of cigarette butts over, and they think that they're going to grow some cigarette trees and become millionaires. And then the best part is, I was not expecting the ending. They have the community comes and they replant everything, and they're there, like, still fixing things up, and Beavis and Butthead come back and they have this, like, confrontation, and I was not expecting that at all. And it was so funny. And they're like, we're trying to be like George Washington, and they think, like, they're just trying to be honest and admit that what they did or something. Like, that was so funny. And then, of course, they beat the living shit out of them. I thought that that was great. And then, of course, the music video both videos in this episode were like where the main person was female and, they're making fun of them. So I definitely think that they're trying to make an effort to make it more equal, where like it's not just like guys that they're making fun of and not just like the same couple of jokes, like Butthead saying, "I screwed your mom, Beavis," and then Butthead slapping Beavis and Beavis talking about beating his meat. Like that was basically all of season 1 was that. But now it feels like they've changed a little bit, and I appreciate it because, it's funny. It's funnier to have like jokes about everybody and not just like make it targeted and, very like niche. Or I guess niche comedy movies can be good sometimes, but still in those movies they make fun of everyone, hopefully. So you have this video, it's a music video of Sabrina Carpenter. I've never heard of her before. Well, I thought she was an actress, so I don't know if that's the same one or not. And they talk about how she'd be a terrible girlfriend or she'd be a great one. I can't remember. And then basically the whole commentary is Beavis talking about how she says that she wants to sleep on a cliff or something. I thought that was kind of like meh, but it was still kind of funny overall. I would give this first story a B+. I really think it's worth watching, and I watch it again. The second story, Married. Wow. This story was really, really good. I mean, this is definitely a highlight of the series so far. So Beavis and Butthead, they through this whole situation, I guess they have their apartment back. Like that's something that's kind of weird, is that it's been established now that they lobbied for their own apartment complex to be destroyed. And now they have their apartment again. Everyone has their apartments again. So I didn't understand that. I guess they just don't care about continuity anymore, as long as. But that was a huge thing. Like that was a major event type of thing that happened. So is it just it takes place before that happened or what? Anyways, it doesn't make this episode bad at all, though. They go to the DMV, the worst place in the world. The DMV and the dentist office are like the two worst places in the world. And then like number 3 would be like, like really evil places, like serial killers' houses and stuff. But number 2 and number 1 is a DMV and dentist office. So anyways, they want to get their driver's license back because I think there's this kind of misunderstanding where this cop is impounding their car and he says that they shouldn't be allowed to be driving on the road. So they think that like their license is taken away, or both of theirs too, which was kind of weird because they haven't paid like all these tickets, like 50 tickets or something, like something crazy, a really insane amount of money. And then they had a great line too where I think Butthead was like, "Officer, in all fairness, work sucks," or "working sucks." I thought that was really funny. That was a great line. See, I thought that this was a very well written story right here. Like whoever wrote this, probably if he's not like a seasoned writer, then I think he has a really good comedy career ahead of him, and that if he's one of the writers on strike, then he's one of the writers who actually should be on strike because his work is very good in this story. And instead of getting the driver's licenses, they're like, no, the line is too long, so we're gonna go get a marriage license instead. Or they thought that like maybe the marriage license person could give them a driver's license. And the woman, there's this whole misunderstanding. That's the brilliant thing about this episode, is that everything is like a misunderstanding. Everything is this whole like miscommunication and complete like, it's like a flip-flop of like everything that's real is wrong. It reminded me a lot of, if you guys have seen the really good comedy I Love You, Ma'am, with Paul Rudd and Jason Segel, it kind of reminded me of that. And the marriage woman thinks that they want to get married to each other, and they have this whole thing where they say that this woman or our apartment complex calls us a creep and smacks us, and the cop, he says that we shouldn't be around here, our kind shouldn't be around here, and that was really funny. And then they get married. They think that they're marrying the woman, and then there's this whole thing where other people around town think that they're married, and so they start acting really nice to them, because it's like there is kind of this really like unfortunate and like sad double standard where you can have like these ugly guys, like as ugly as Beavis and Butthead, and people won't be nice to them at all, and they'll treat them like trash. But then if they're gay, all of a sudden, like, those people treat them really nicely and really, like, wow, those are really nice people. It's, like, really weird. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was very smart, like, social commentary, though, honestly. Like, this was a very smartly written story. And so then they get miscommunicated with the woman at the apartment complex. And this is the part that I mean, is that you have this woman, and they didn't establish that she was married or anything, but she starts being nice to them after she smacked them like millions of times and called them all these names. And it's like this kind of like dark, like unfortunate like reality that they're pointing out, where it's just, I don't know. Like, they are kind of creeps, but at the same time, like, every time she slaps them, she's basically physically assaulting them. Like, she could call them all the stuff that she wants, but I don't know, like, I don't know, there's something about that it was really funny, but kind of like, I don't know, it just it gave me a weird feeling thinking about, like, I never even thought about that before. And she takes them to Burger World to make it up to them, and she buys them all burgers and drinks. She doesn't... Now, this is the fucked up part. Like, this is how you know that this girl's trash, and that this girl is a Tinder profile maker 101. She gets them burgers and probably Cokes, but she doesn't get them any fries. There's no fries on this platter, and I thought, wow. Like, guys, if you went out on a date with a woman to Burger World in this cartoon fantasy world, and she got burgers and sodas, but she didn't get any fries, wouldn't that be like a gigantic, like, red flag? Like, that is really weird. Because, like, nobody just eats fries, like, all the time. Like, if you eat fries, most of the time you want to have them with burgers, or chicken sandwiches, or sloppy joes, or hot dogs. But to just get burgers by themselves, there's just something weird about that. Like, something, to me, it should almost be like considered a sign of mental illness. Like, to think that a person would want to have a burger and no fries to go with the burger is like, it's like, how could you do that? How could you do that to Beavis and Butthead? And then she screws it up right away. Like, Butthead, he makes like a crappy, sleazy move on her, and then she slaps him and runs away, and then he's like, "You didn't eat your food." Like, this whole story was just completely hilarious. And the funniest part, after they find out that they would have to pay all this money to get a divorce, they're like, let's just pretend that we didn't get married. And so, like, if in this universe, if they ever do get married, then they're gonna be fucking committing bigamy. Which, honestly, that could be a really good series finale. Like, let's just pretend that Beavis and Butthead will end in 10 years or less. And I'm saying or less because we all know that TV shows nowadays aren't allowed to go past 5 seasons because they're not allowed to express creativity anymore. They have to be constrained to 5 seasons or less because, you know, you just can't have TV shows go past that. And, oh, you want to have a show with 20 episodes, 24? No, that's not possible anymore because TV networks are trash. But if they did a series finale where either Butthead changes or Beavis changes, and then they find like a really nice woman who loves them for on the inside quality, personality, and then they want to get married, and then they get married, and then boom, he gets arrested for bigamy. And then the other person has to save them or has to figure out a way to get them out of it. Like, that would be a really good series finale, honestly. And then it would end with them having the wedding again or something. And then, of course, the other person would be the best man, and it would be a really happy ending. That is officially how I think Beavis and Butthead should end. If they're keeping up this continuity, do that, and it'll be really, really good. And by the way, this is them as the 40-year-old virgins characters. This is not them as kids. So I didn't mention that at the beginning, but if you... I would think you'd assume that. And so then they get their car back instead, and there's this whole hilarious... another misunderstanding where this kid... accidentally his can invention gets strapped to their car, and so it looks like they have these 2 cans that are, you know, like a married couple would have on their car. And then the funniest part of the whole episode is when they see these 2 girls on the sidewalk and they wave at them. It just, the way that they waved, it was just so funny watching them like waving, even though, like, we know that they don't know that those girls think that they just got married and they're a gay couple. Like, that was so funny. And then they drive off into the sunset together. I mean, that was just so amazing. And then the music video, it wasn't a music video. It was this girl touring her New York City apartment, and wow. It was really, really funny, this commentary. They make fun of her voice. She's like, hey, this is my apartment. Like, she's kind of like doing the typical fake YouTube positivity voice, in my opinion. And so then they start doing a tour of their apartment using her voice impression, and I thought that was genius. That was pure genius. I laughed my head off. I would give this whole story, including the commentary, an A+. I really think it might be the best one of the series so far. Of course, I didn't finish the first season. I didn't know that there were episodes coming out, and I thought that the season was done. So, anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of the 2 stories, And then please subscribe if you'd like to see me keep on reviewing Beavis and Butthead, the rebooted version. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.